For years they treated me like the unstable daughter destroying the family, until one lawyer opened my mother's will and exposed the secret my stepfather spent decades hiding when my mother married Richard. Everyone acted like he saved our family because after my biological father died when I was 9, my mother spent years emotionally broken until Richard appeared with his perfect smile, expensive suits, and endless patience. And almost overnight my relatives started worshipping him like some kind of miracle man who rescued a struggling widow and her daughter. Except from the very beginning something about him made my skin crawl in a way I could never properly explain, because while everyone else saw kindness, I saw calculation, little things that didn't add up, like how carefully he controlled conversations, how quickly he inserted himself into every financial decision, and the weird way he smiled whenever people praised him for being such a generous stepfather. And honestly, I spent most of my teenage years believing maybe I was just grieving badly because anytime I questioned Richard's behavior my entire family treated me like some jealous, emotionally damaged child trying to sabotage my mother's happiness, especially after my younger half-brother was born and suddenly Richard had the perfect family he always wanted, because from that moment on I became the outsider in my own home, the difficult daughter who never accepted her new father, while Richard quietly positioned himself as the calm victim forced to tolerate my hostility, and over time even my mother started looking exhausted anytime I raised concerns about him. So eventually I stopped speaking up because once an entire family decides one person is unstable, the truth starts sounding like paranoia no matter how real it is. But everything changed after my mother unexpectedly died from a sudden aneurysm 3 years ago because almost immediately Richard started pushing me out of the family. Completely selling property quickly, changing financial accounts, and constantly reminding me that moving on was healthier than obsessing over the past, and honestly part of me almost gave up fighting because grief made everything feel blurry and impossible, until last winter when my grandmother called saying the attorney handling my mother's estate discovered documentation inconsistencies requiring another family meeting. And the second I walked into that law office I knew something was wrong because Richard looked furious before the meeting even started while my grandmother wouldn't make eye contact with anyone, and then the estate lawyer quietly explained that while reviewing old files related to my mother's original will, they uncovered a sealed packet of documents my mother personally requested remain hidden unless her death was investigated or disputed. And suddenly the entire room went silent because Richard immediately interrupted demanding the documents were irrelevant. But before he could stop it, the lawyer opened the file and revealed the truth that completely shattered my understanding of my entire life. Because according to private journals, financial records, and one recorded statement my mother made months before her death, she secretly believed Richard had been manipulating her financially for years and was preparing to leave him shortly before she died. And honestly the room felt physically colder hearing that because apparently my mother discovered Richard had quietly transferred enormous amounts of money from family trusts into shell companies connected to businesses he owned, while simultaneously convincing relatives she was becoming mentally unstable whenever she questioned missing funds, meaning the exact same manipulation tactic used against me for years had already been used on her. But then came the part that completely destroyed the family, because hidden inside the documents was proof that my mother changed her will 6 months before her death, leaving majority control of her estate, not to Richard or my half-brother, but to me, specifically because she feared Richard would erase me from the family once she was gone. And I swear I will never forget the look on Richard's face when the lawyer calmly explained the revised will became legally valid the